Welcome to the series, part of the Christopher Peter Review. The NFL offseason is a period of great uncertainty for most football fans. Each and every football fan wants their team to be able to make a run to the Super Bowl or defend a Super Bowl. All the while, the teams will need to be cap compliant as they fill roster holes or talent gaps in the teams with the largest rosters. There has not been a playoff game played in quite some time, yet the interest surrounding football is just as intense as it was in early February. No other sports league can really gain the attention and maintain interest for a prolonged period of time. Many experience highs and lows. For instance, the NBA experienced what some felt was a drop in ratings early in the season as less people were watching their games. To be fair, it was hard to know if there was really a drop or if viewers simply shifted to streaming over traditional media. Remember, the association pretty much ended local broadcasts of their games. Then a bad trade happens and viewers return to see the impact. Fortunately, for the league, the Lakers have been on quite the run and the Mavericks have been the exact opposite, creating some drama and interest, especially with the Lakers solidifying their playoff positioning. It does not help that their own players criticize the product, which contributes to the ratings issues. Again, this does not happen in the football world, where their regular season games outdraw every other league's championship and playoff games, but there are no games being played right now. The only football activity has been the recent combine in Indy, where teams met for what might have been the first time the top prospects of the upcoming drafts, along with agents and a host of people that help fuel the ecosystem of fandom. Still, there are many important decisions, actions, and plays that will happen that fans, like myself, love to experience. How will my Philadelphia Eagles prepare to defend their second Super Bowl this year? Can the Chiefs rebound? What will the Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders do that will impact the upcoming season? These are all the questions that football fans ask themselves and watch football media outlets to experience possible answers. Remember last year, the definitive statement that defined last season was made not during the actual season, but the off-season, where the Giants general manager stated in front of the HBO Hard Knocks cameras that he was not going to pay Saquon Barkley, prioritizing Daniel Jones. Now, I think most of us understand the dynamics of the decision he made. Football franchises operate in a hard salary cap environment, despite the feeling that the cap might not be real due to skillful manipulation by some. So, team owners and general managers have to invest wisely the cap dollars they have available. Quarterbacks are worth more than any other player position group in the league. If you have one that is deemed a franchise quarterback and decide to commit market-level money to him, then you will have less to spend elsewhere. Until recently, the running back market has been the area where teams could find their savings. Last year changed direction, and those ill-fated words were hard to forget when that running back the Giants were not willing to pay won the Super Bowl. Wonder how many sleepless nights team owner John Mara had since then. But hopefully he is well rested now. But that is how critical decisions made in this time of the year can have massive impacts later on down the line. So what do I make of the happenings around the league lately? First and foremost, I think the best news I heard so far was that the Philadelphia Eagles retained Zach Braun with a new 3-year deal. The Barkley deal is significant as well. But I was concerned that we might lose the ascending linebacker who solidified that vaunted defense. The cap bug did hit the team as we made the expected release of Darius Slay and James Bradberry, who were on the downside of their careers, but still impactful to the Eagles overall. Bradberry missed all of last year though, but the Eagles were prepared, drafting Mithsel and D. Jean last year. Best of wishes to both Slay and Bradberry. Now, the Giants entered the offseason without either a quarterback and running back. There is much talk that Aaron Rodgers may be the next bridge quarterback for them. The draft is regarded as light on quarterback talent with immediate impact, so they may need to draft and develop. Even if they drafted Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, both will still need time to acclimate to the league. The Cowboys have plenty of cap room and will need to invest in players because many fans are not really happy with the head coaching hire. A friend of mine who is a Cowboys fan questioned whether Jerry Jones hired the first guy to walk past his door. So there is not much hope in Dallas right now. They have resigned a key member of their defense, but still need to take care of Micah Parsons. The Commanders completely changed the narrative around their franchise, which was troubled under the many scandals that surrounded former owner Dan Snyder. The team with a new head coach and rookie quarterback made it to the NFC Championship game before getting spanked by my Eagles. They dusted themselves off already and invested for next year by trading a 5th-round pick for Deebo Samuel. I still believe the Eagles have the chance to break the streak of different winners, which they should be a 3-time defending division champion if not for their slide the year before last. But I think the Cowboys will bounce back and the Commanders will keep it close. The Giants, I think, will probably be rebuilding this time next year, especially missing out on their top quarterback choice in Matt Stafford. The Chiefs will be good next year because they will bring the band back. They traded Joe Thuney away but still have great talent. Their promising rookie might not be available depending on the outcome of his recent arrest, so we will have to wait and see on that one. But they will add pieces and have a solid draft. That is what Andy Reid teams do. Interesting to see what happens with the San Francisco 49ers. They traded Samuel and are negotiating with Brock Purdy, who will probably want to be paid like a top quarterback, despite coming in as the very last pick of his draft class. Will they bring in Joey Bosa? What other moves will they make? I picked them last year to win the Super Bowl because I thought they could overcome the normal Super Bowl hangover the losing team has. But I was wrong. And I appreciate the Eagles being the team that could take advantage of their second chance. The Niners talked a great deal, but lost a great deal too. They may no longer be the dominant team in that division where the Rams look better. Imagine what they could be if they can just be a bit more consistent. It will be very interesting to see what the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills do this offseason. Both teams seem to be right there for so long, but cannot get past Patrick Mahomes. They have talented rosters, good coaches, and MVP quarterbacks but cannot reach the big game. Interesting to see what they do as we head into the formal beginning of free agency this week. Finally, it will be interesting to see what the Pittsburgh Steelers do at the quarterback position, especially now that they added another star wide receiver. Will they sign Russell Wilson to an extension, or will Justin Fields make a return? Is the Sam Darnold story true in the same manner like all those people reporting Myles Garrett would come to Philly? Garrett signed an extension with the Browns for the largest non-quarterback deal, shortly after the Raiders did the same to Max Crosby. I will speak more about free agency next week. Now, let us change gears and learn about the top headlines since the last time we spoke.
Welcome. There was so much that took place in the last week. President Donald Trump delivered a powerful message to Congress. Now, it is not an official State of the Union, since he is just returning to the office, but still an important moment for him to reiterate his agenda and how he intends to proceed policy-wise in the next 12 months. As expected, President Trump spiked the football a bit, highlighting the productivity and quick action his administration has been taking since coming into office. To their credit, Trump and team has been pretty quick to deliver on campaign promises and his promised agenda in a manner that differs from the traditional approach in Washington. Key early wins are seen with an improved situation in terms of reducing illegal immigration and the campaign to remove illegal immigrants from society, starting with the most dangerous ones. Also, there have been many announced investments made in the American domestic economy, over $1 trillion and counting. Artificial intelligence and crypto are finding a friendlier experience with the Trump team. There are still challenges facing our society. Price paid in our grocery stores and the pump are still elevated, which is understandable to some degree because of how prices tend to remain elevated for time. But provides an annoying opportunity for quips by Democrats, whose policies created the inflation we are facing. Yet, they have the nerve to question why Trump has not fixed their problem fast enough. Speaking of problems created by Democrats, Trump has made progress in changing the mindset around the global wars. The Middle East conflict is moving closer to resolution, or at the very least the parties thinking about what happens after the fighting. Hostages are starting to come home. The Ukrainian conflict is still ongoing, but one part that we can be hopeful of is that there is at least the thought of pushing for peace. For the past 3+ years, the world has simply been writing blank checks subsidizing a fight that has kind of become unwinnable. Who would have thought Republicans would be the political party pushing for peace and Democrats desperately wanting World War III? Democrats want to see more war simply because they do not want Trump to get credit for peace. The optics from the failed minerals meetings was not ideal, but prolonging the battles is not the smart approach. The Europeans are stepping up their support, but might make a critical mistake by putting troops in place to support the battle rather than ensure security. Trump is correct that Europe should be the party that takes a greater responsibility in the situation, as they are closer to the situation and have shirked their responsibility for too long. It seems like there will be a path towards peace that will involve European security guarantees and troop presence with probably other forms of support from the United States. The United States is the critical piece of the equation. The Europeans have to step up, but they are not unilaterally able to change the calculus. The job numbers were not really ideal, but reversing the economic condition will take some time. Employers are going to most likely pause hiring until they get a better grasp around the uncertainty in the economy with the tariffs threats. Tariffs will be the next topic for the review, but the whole goal with tariff is to push for changed behaviors and switching to domestic production. Finally, let us talk about the political opposition in terms of the Democrat Party. They were completely despicable during the speech and are really not operating rationally. There is a disconnect between the broadest group of Democrat leaders and the American public. There is a major disconnect between where they stand on critical issues and where the public stands on those same topics. There is also a major gap between the party and the truth. Hard to trust a political party that still is covering up what the condition of our past president and when they knew about it. If they cannot be honest about that, then why should we trust anything else they say? Especially when it is clear what they are saying and the narratives that they are selling to the public are not based on any truth. As mentioned on my piece about unelected government officials, the Democratic Party embraced the idea of empowering people not directly elected or appointed by the president with a wealth of endless power. Many of the regulations and laws enacted by Democrats place a great amount of power and discretion with the federal bureaucracy, all of whom are also unelected people. For example, there are many areas of federal regulation where one must spend a great deal of time appealing a decision by a regulator with the agency employing that regulator, only to have the appeal rejected and do a song and dance before being able to be heard in a federal court. So, the truth is they too embrace the use of unelected people in positions of power. Remember, they're czars. Also, I do not think anybody would consider a person stealing when they are finding waste, abuse, and fraud that brings value and savings to the American taxpayers. Again, whose side are Democrats on? On many issues, they are on the sides of criminals. And on the issue of government efficiency, they are taking the side of those bilking the taxpayers? Now, thanks to the work of Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, we know federal tax dollars have been redirected to many of their special interests and cronies. Based on those programs, it is clear as day on which party is doing the theft. All the findings by Musk and his team that President Trump listed during his speech do not sound like Republican priorities. Democrats are empty vessels, and it is really hard to trust them until they provide a full accountability of not only the Biden cover-up, but their entire blunder of governance that they put America through since 2020. They offer Americans nothing of substance. Like creating Street Fighter-style videos is going to convince the public that they fight for them. They told Americans they cannot buy the car of their choice, speak their minds, or disagree with them. They said inflation was a myth, leading many people to suffer. Illegal immigration was not a problem, costing communities resources and people their lives. That crime was a right-wing conspiracy, pushing businesses and residents out of many cities. And Biden was sharp as a tactic. Democrats were not fighting for the people. They were fighting the American people. They claim that Trump is a puppet of Putin when their policies embody so many Soviet ideals and principles. Their actions and behaviors are aligned with Soviet ideals and principles. They fight against free speech and free choice. The current state of the party is not trustworthy or deserving of the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you, Jennifer. A big thank you to all of you in the audience. Your viewership is appreciated and valued. The Christopher Peter Review provides an economic perspective on salient current events. Please continue to visit www.crcreview.com for more, or subscribe on YouTube or YouTube Music. Thank you again and talk to you next time.